Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. King, you know what it is.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Link Up Podcast with your hosts, Mr. King, Woods, Kana, Rashid, and Kalissa. We got the whole squad here today.
Yo,
And
finally.
today we can have an interesting topic of discussion. Something hopefully is not too controversial, but I think it probably might be, But we'll pass it off on to Kalissa for more information. A
All right.
combined murder, further, and more.
Well, I tell you, I say murder there just now. I was
so,
gonna say that's kind of wild.
so today on the podcast, we will be talking about the Myka Stauffer situation, family YouTubers, and if different if people from different races should adopt, like if you should adopt children from different races. Let me put it like that. That's a better phrasing. Sorry, guys. All right. So to kick it off, I would like to start by asking King your opinion on family channels on YouTube and people pretty much focusing the content around their kids.
Well, that is something that is there's two sides to it. There's good and kind of depends on the channel, I guess, and what type of content you're generating. Because I've seen some situations where it goes bad. Me personally, I don't think I agree with it necessarily. It's like at least let the child be of reasonable age so that they could have some sense of understanding of what is going on to see if like they want to be involved on it type of thing. I don't have no kids yet, so this is an opinion of a kidless person. But in that being said, I don't like the whole idea of putting your kids out there necessarily for the world to critique. Exploit, especially for financial gain. I understand why some people do it because there's a lot of people that love that content, that love like the family, the kids friendly type of channels, and depending on how it's done, like watching the
Yeah.
baby grow up and go through all these different steps and stuff. Like I get the interest and appeal for some people, but it's still kind of exploitative in some ways at the same time. Because I remember the one
Mm-hmm.
specific situation of a family that, like, I don't know if y'all familiar with Philip DeFranco. He was somebody that kind of played a role. He's an online YouTuber who does like news and stuff, and he played a role in, I guess, taking down of this particular child YouTube, like family YouTubers, because there was a lot of videos of like abuse and like having scaring the children and hitting them and doing different things, or having them hit each other and fight amongst each other and stuff like that, and filming that for content. So there was a whole outrage and scandal. I don't remember the name, like Daddy of Five, I think is Daddy of Five was the name of the channel at the time. It was a family like, and yes, they had some issues where the children got taken away from the family because apparently, like, two of the five children had a different mother or something. So once this was reported and Phil put a lot of focus on it, and the authorities got involved and they got shut down and the channel got taken down and all of these things. So in those type of situations, it's obviously not a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. Like in general, I ain't really too for it necessarily, but there are ways to do it in healthy, not as exploitative measure, but it still can always, no matter what, gonna be kind of exploiting the children.
Yeah. I kind of
Anybody
understand what
else?
you're saying. Okay, I can go and maybe give somebody a little more, give somebody another perspective. How I thinking of it is, me personally, I don't watch any family channels or videos that have anything to do with children. I mean, I don't have children, so I don't really. There would be no need to really. The only videos that I think are good are like informative videos. So if somebody's doing their child's hair, stuff like that, like instruction videos, or like those type of videos, I feel like those are good, where you could learn about something, where people is a type of video that answering like questions that a lot of people have. Those I feel like they're okay, but I feel like once you're putting your child in a video purely for content, as in for entertainment, I think Um, I think that's a bit much because at a certain point, I feel like if you seen that this video generating like revenue, whatever, right? I feel like at a certain point, you're going to pressure your child into being in videos because you know that this is income for you. You understand? So you kind of going to get in a situation where I think that at a certain point the child is not going to have fun doing it anymore. And also a young child cannot understand the consequences of being on the internet. And honestly, we live in an era where we don't even know how this is going to impact these children in the future because, you know, this is only happening now. We don't know what's going to happen later on. These children have like some family vloggers have the children entire lives on YouTube, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You don't know how people gonna use those videos against them later in the future. So I find that, in my opinion, is like I don't really support it. But also I feel like YouTube don't consider children's rights in the same way that Hollywood does, for example, because child actors, the way they get paid, the way the laws are set up, the parents can't actually use their money that's generated from them acting and stuff like that. Whatever money they make, a good majority of it has to go into a trust fund for the child. YouTube, however, the parents are paid. So the child might not ever see any part of that money, you understand? I mean, obviously, hopefully you're going to support the child, but I mean, I don't know. I
Yeah,
feel like it's a
I get what you're saying, and is a slightly different issue there. I think, like regarding the pay and stuff, because YouTube and how they pay people and all of that is one thing. So I could definitely see that being an issue. But I was just wondering, like, is there a difference necessarily if you're posting a child online just because like you want to post your child versus if you're doing it for monetary gain type of thing? Like, is the effect and the result
That
not kind of the same?
I would think
I would say okay, go ahead, Woods.
it depends. It depends on what the focus of the content is that you do. Cause like there is some YouTubers that I follow and stuff like that, and yeah, their kids come into the video, but it's not that the kids are the focus of the video. It's just that her life is like not her life in its entirety, but a part of it is what her YouTube channel is about, and her kids do just come in frame from time to time, but she does not use her kids as the selling point of her videos. So I think it's also what is the intention of the person doing the videos. If they're legit using the kids as a prop, and like and if you could see that the kids are legit just being used for monetary gains, then I have a problem with it. But if it's something where you seeing that they're both like interacting with one another and having fun, and it's more of a jolly and playful thing, then I really don't have a problem with it, because I like we living in a day and age now that even people that are not doing it for monetary gains are putting their whole lives on the internet for people to use and criticize, and like it's a very tricky situation just in the environment that we are right now. So there's when it crosses the line, I'm against it. But if it's more for educational purposes, or if it's like if the channel is just centered around a family thing and it's not exploiting the child in any type of way, then I don't really have a problem with it. It just comes by case basis, I guess, the way that I feel about it. Um, but yeah.
Kinda, Rashid.
I
Any
thought
thoughts?
people was being appointed, so I keep my mouth shut.
Oh
Go ahead,
no,
Kana.
that's only Kind of go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know. Most more or less, I kind of feel the same way how y'all think. But then my question is, for King, if you saying either way, if you're thinking is exploitation, if you put your kids on YouTube and stuff like that is exploitation, how you feel about homeboy who does give toy reviews, who's like number one YouTuber in the world?
Mm.
I don't necessarily think that his parents exploiting. From the videos I see him that I had see do, it look like he enjoying his stuff, and yeah,
Because that was also part of my statement. Like, I feel if you're doing it, to me, it should be like communication with the child. Like, you wait till the child is somewhat old enough that they understand to some degree what it is that they're doing. Like, with his situation, to me, is like, this is what I want to do. Me as parents, I am helping facilitate that by what, maybe buying the cameras or maybe helping him set up the YouTube account
yeah.
and
But
stuff.
do you think
So,
do you think he is old enough to know what he really wants to do? Homeboy
okay,
wasn't like 6 when it started.
I don't know.
let me ask
I don't watch
you a
the story
question.
review channel.
Do you think he would still? This is true. Do you think he would still be doing the toy reviews if he hadn't been so successful with it? Do you think they would still be putting up videos now?
I don't know.
That depends on how passionate he
Again,
is about it.
like that,
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
like
That's
My thing is,
that's to me that's the thing with the story. I don't know the details of that situation.
What? So that again, Chris?
honestly, I think he said he doesn't know
I
the
don't know the
details of that
details of the toy
situation.
review channel.
Oh, all right. What are you saying, Chris?
But here's the thing: regardless of knowing the details or not, when you have a child that is that young, whether the child is passionate about something or not, that child is going to have days where that child does not feel like putting up videos, or they don't feel like doing this, or they don't feel like doing that, because that's just how children act at that age, right? So my whole thing is,
Mm-hmm.
if a child, if they're uploading videos of a child consistently on like a schedule basis, right? Then obviously to a certain extent, the child is being encouraged, probably even I would say pushed on certain days to still make the videos, because the parents could see what kind of revenue is generating. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's my whole problem with basing an entire channel around children or a particular child. Is one thing if the money is going towards the child's future, but I think a lot of these family channels, I don't know, and I also don't like that they do a lot of stuff for shock factor, for the shock value of things, because they know that it's going to get a lot of attention. You have one channel called the Ace Family, and he took his wife's baby sister to a sex shop and gave her a dick shaped lollipop, and this was like on the internet.
That's just
Things
uncalled
like
for.
that.
yeah.
That is
But I
that's
think
different. That's different. Like that's just. I think we all agree that's nonsense.
yeah. Again, it comes. It really comes down to the case by
No,
case
but
basis. Cause
this is, oh yeah, finish, sorry.
yeah, it really comes down to again the case by case basis. Cause like if I have a child, like let's say the child's 7 years old and he wants to go on
Hmm.
YouTube and he wants to do reviews like the kid is doing, and like we don't know the situation with the parents with that kid. It could be that this kid is just one of those kids that legit idolize PewDiePie and stuff like that, and he really loves doing stuff on YouTube, and he's just really and he got popular with it. So in that sense, it's fine. Now if it comes down that the parents is the one that's pushing him and he doesn't want to do it, then like yeah, then it's fucked up. So it's again a case by case basis. Now with the whole lollipop dick thing, that's just fucked up. Like there's not even an argument to be made in that point. That's just fucked up. But again, like we need to know the details of every
Hmm.
situation.
All right, so I might have
However,
a, oh, go to Chris.
no, continue. I want to hear what you say first.
I have a bit of maybe a bit of a controversial question.
Hmm.
Are you saying I wouldn't be right to force the child to do it and all that, right? But if the parents, let's just say the scenario is the parents are actually using the funds and the income generated for the child's benefit. Let's say for example of college. How would the parents forcing the child to do more videos for their benefit later on in the future be any different than any other parental technique? For instance, eating your vegetables, for instance, cleaning your room, for instance, taking a shower. If it's for your own, if it's for the child own benefit, whether the child wants to do it or not, you have to be the parent to make sure the child does it.
I
So
mean,
is that any different?
I get your argument there because it would be the
I
same
think
thing.
it depends.
It would be
Good.
the
I understand what you're saying,
yeah.
but I think it depends on if the money is actually going to the child or not, because a lot of these family vloggers, they're not putting it into a bank account for this child. You could see based on the living circumstances where their money is going. I mean, obviously they have enough money to send the children to college and stuff, but I think there's a difference with using the money for your child and making sure that the child is good, and then like using it so to improve your own situation. But then
But
also I feel like it does depend on the content
Does
as
the child
well,
not benefit from that
because
as
I
well?
I
that would
mean,
be my next
yes.
question.
If you're the
Is not
parent
anything that benefit you
of the
benefits your
child,
child as well?
like, and I get a nice house or I move to a better neighborhood, like,
I mean,
That's all for the child's benefit
to
as
a
well.
certain extent, yes. To a certain
I
extent.
use the money and move them to a private school or something like that, or I move to a
To a
neighborhood, get a
private
bigger
school, yeah,
house
but
that
like,
now has security or a gated community or something like that to make a safer environment for them, or like, I get where you're coming from, but as a parent, to me, it's very. I get the point that Kana's making, where it's like, to me, it sounds like a LeVar Ball, for example, where it's like my kid was into basketball, so I did everything to push them and make sure that they was good in basketball. Is he exploiting his kids? You can say so to some degree, but it's like if your kids have a passion for what it is that they're doing and they want to do it and they don't mind being given guidance and like some structure to help them with, because kids like to play. So it's like, depending on how young the kid is, it's difficult to see that same determination or level of focus. But every child is different. Like, I don't know if the toy review kid wants a break. I don't know if he just really likes doing it. Maybe he don't see it as work or something like that. I don't know.
I mean, again, I feel like it depends on the content. And what I've noticed is the bigger the YouTube channel, the more shocking tactics they use and the wilder it does get. And that's why I'm saying, to a certain extent, is not even about the kids. That's what I'm saying. Like, for example, that person with the lollipop video, the Ace family is probably one of, if not the biggest family vlogging channel. Like, they famous. You probably maybe don't know them by name, but you have seen them and the kids on Instagram or something.
Hmm.
And then the reason why I'm saying, to a certain extent, I don't know if how they using, if they using this money that they're making off of the family channel, if they're using it like to better the kids future or to live some type of fantasy that they want to live, is because they have like wild fucking videos where it had a video of homeboy in his pool with a jet ski, and then he fuck up
Hmm.
his all his neighbors downstairs. He caused water damage because he lived higher up,
Oh, I
and he
saw
had an
that.
infinity pool. Yeah, and he had an infinity pool, and his neighbors complained, and he was just going around in this jet ski and causing water damage to the neighborhood. Like, it seemed to me that they just want to live bougie at by any means. You understand? And that's also what I have a problem with, where I seen like bigger channels. The bigger the channel get, the more they feel like they have to do, and then they just have the children doing like wilder shit, or like stuff that would make you look at it sideways. And then they just have a bunch of scandals. And that's our next thing. They always have like 10,000 scandals surrounding the family. And then, I mean, by association, like the children somewhat seen, in the future the children might be seen as, scammers as well. And that's why I'm saying I don't necessarily have a problem with people who doing information like information based videos or tutorials or stuff that people can learn something from. But I feel like, and even things that children like doing, like that's not problematic to me. I feel like when your content surrounding your kids and you're trying to create like shock value, or you just trying to clickbait people, or just trying to get views so you can make money, I think that's a different situation.
I I think this is just a natural progression from the bullshit TV shows like the Kardashians and stuff like that. That just translated and went to YouTube because
Yeah, but
I
all of
mean,
you
but
just because
honestly,
all what you just said sounded like the Kardashian show, sounded like the Honey Boo Boos,
I think,
and all of these shows that
yeah.
was on TV
yeah, but
exploiting children. Like
Woods
the,
is
it's
right. Woods is exactly right. But doesn't that more said to say it to the viewers and the people posting the content? Because people still watching it.
yeah.
Mhm.
They wouldn't be as big. They wouldn't be as big if people wasn't watching the shit.
Yeah, like
but
I
again,
always hated like reality TV in general because I find it just numbing, dumb bullshit that just makes you dumb watching it. But I had a problem with that, and like I have a problem with people exploiting children to make money. But there's still a difference between someone enjoying doing something like because we don't even know if the
mhm,
actors, the child actors that are actually acting in these shows, if they're enjoying that. Even though the money going to their trust fund, we don't know if they're being forced to do something they don't want to do. Because some of these kids start as toddlers and they grow up in these shows till like they're 16, 17 years old and stuff like that. Like you have those examples too, but we don't know really what their living situations is. I just think the difference is that when it's shockingly obvious that just the family is just a reckless ass family, and then you don't understand how these kids are still legally still with those parents. Like, yeah, I don't know that, but
I don't know. Me personally, I feel like if you see your child doing it and they have an interest, like what King said, they have an interest in it and all that, but they're not consistent as they could be, or they need a little motivation and stuff like that. And you doing that, and it kind of seemed like it forcing. To me, okay, no, that sounded a little tense. Now that I say it out loud, is it to me is like if again, like I was saying before, if it's for the child's benefit later on, and it's not like causing extreme harm or something like that, then I would say, but I could understand the reason for quote unquote
mhm,
forcing the child to continue to do it. But if it reaches to a point where the child reaches to an age, like okay, let's say we take in the little boy who do the
toy
toys as an
reviews,
example,
yeah.
yeah. If they start doing a video at 6, let's just say for 6, they're doing it for like 2 3 years, and after by the time this man reached like 10 11 later on in life, and they still doing it, but he come to a point where like, bye mom, dad, I didn't like to do this no more. I ain't enjoying it. It's not something I want to do, so I want to do something else. And then they still force him to do it, then that's fucked up, I find, at least. But if like he choose,
Cause
if he reached to an age where he's like, okay, I myself consciously don't want to do it, then it got to stop. But until then, if it's just like laziness, or like don't feel like and stuff like that, and it's beneficial for him, to me that's is the same parental technique they would use for anything else in that situation.
yeah, go
Granted,
train
I'm not
basketball and stuff like that.
yeah,
Kinda,
granted, I'm not a
kinda.
parent or
mhm.
nothing like that, but this is what I seen from my friends that have kids, and like other examples and stuff like that. So for me personally, I don't find it would be so bad until the kid can actually tell you themselves, all right, yo, stop this fuck. I ain't want to do it no more. But that's
It
just me.
brings brings back the question I wanted to ask. Like, do y'all see a difference whether it's for your own personal thing or for monetary gain? Like, is it any difference, or is it just the same thing because of the result? For example, what I think on when I see that is there's a lot of new mothers and stuff, and I know a couple of them on Instagram and stuff, girls that I know that happen to have children now, and their entire Instagram feed turns into, okay, it's the baby show. Like, I'm taking all a million pictures of my new child, and like, and that's kind of just like general trend that you often see, usually more with mothers than fathers for whatever reason. But it is something that happens, and I'm like, is that any different from the YouTube exploiters or the YouTube family vloggers and stuff like that?
I think when I think saying exploit implies intent,
Because it's for the
right?
likes. It might not be
Yeah,
for the
I
money, but
understand
you get
that.
likes and stuff.
I mean,
So
yeah, but then when you look at these
maybe the
vloggers,
intent is
right?
to post it yourself.
When you look at these vloggers, sometimes it starts off as vloggers and then it turned into a family vlog type of thing because this family's life become about their
Mm.
child. So you start seeing more of their child and whatnot. And I don't think that's necessarily exploitation. I think exploitation would imply an intent of them putting their child out there solely to get some type of revenue from it.
Honeymoon.
But in the situations where just the family's life is about the kids and just their life around the kids and stuff like that, I don't necessarily think that that is exploitation. I think
But I'm thinking of some of the other things Calissa was mentioning
yeah,
regarding like possible negative ramifications for the child. So it's not
yeah,
just about the profiting thing. So like you putting the child out there, depending on what type of positions you put them in. Like there's good and bad that comes with that fame or
of
notoriety and
course,
stuff. Like those things as well. Because even if you're not getting the money, you could still face negative things from that, where you're putting your child out there. So in that sense, do you see it any differently?
of course. Mm. Um,
I think again. Oh wait, continue, Rashid. I didn't hear that you was thing. I
yeah,
think my laptop lagging.
I think as a parent, you would or you should know the risks of putting your child on the internet. But then again, it is on a family by family type of basis. There probably are people that would, you know, disregard the negative effects of putting the child on the internet and still do it. For the monetary gain type of thing. Hmm. I feel like it's
But I
based
guess
on family type of thing, person by person basis, or family by family
are
basis.
the negative effects really the same if you're not famous though? Because I'm thinking like for example Drake and his situation is like I'm not he not putting his kid out there for the world, he hiding his kid or whatever. Like in that logic,
Yeah.
like do regular people that not famous and have a million followers on Instagram worry about, or like that's why I guess like the family YouTube it is a difference I guess if it's just an individual because I don't feel no way about some of my friends' kids like
I think it also like
when I see them post it.
I mean, I think there
go
is
to
negatives around it, just
There
based on
might
people
be.
who trolls online and shit. Like
yeah.
they exist, and they would come in your comments for no reason at all and say some hellacious
Mhm.
shit. That's just how the internet works.
Yeah, and it also really depends on like what's your story. That's also very important. Like what, like for example, if in let's go back to Drake's case. If the story was just a regular schmegular story that he and a girl that he was with for a while had a baby, I think he would be way more. Not that he would parade with the kid, but it would have been a different type of thing to put the kid out there. You understand? But with the story surrounding that kid in specifically, I would also understand why he would also try to shield the kid, because it's because you would have people commenting like, yeah, your mom was a hoe or some crazy type of shit like that. You understand?
Mm.
Like
Mhm.
it context is also key in terms of why you shielding the kid from, like for example with the honey boo boo thing was also like something that I never understood why they they allowed something like that to be shown on TV. But
Mm.
yeah, yeah,
That's,
yeah.
but then
I mean,
I got a quick question then. With seeing with the
mhm.
whole exploitation and something like that. Again, bringing the 6-year-old toy review
You
kid
really love
into
that
the
YouTube
thing.
channel, no,
No,
bro.
but it kind of goes a lot to my example. But say them couple got two other regular kids, right? My question
Mhm.
is, do you still use the revenue from your quote unquote cash cow child to help your other kids?
You play
Or how
favorite
do you or
stuff.
how do you feel about that?
Okay,
Are you feel about that?
I honestly I would say this. If it came down to the parents sponsoring, because the parents is the only person that could have sponsored all the equipment, buy all the toys, stuff like that, when the channel was not popping yet, because
Mm-hmm.
in the like it didn't go from nothing to something in a span of like a week. Like this could have just been, oh, my kid loves doing this. Let me help him. Let me buy like all
Mm-hmm.
the equipment, buy the camera, buy the toy so he can review. Like it was an investment that they did, and I don't think they did it with the thought that it was going to blow up and become a successful channel to begin with. So that's also context. So if that's the case, like if now it's actually making money, like you would hope that, let's say, they take 50% of that and put it into a savings, so that when the kid's old enough, the kid could use that money for his own benefit and
Mm-hmm.
pursue different avenues or continue with what he's doing right now. But I would argue and say, because they put money into the channel, they invested into it, that they have all rights to at least get half of it back. Because it would be the same thing with this with using Hollywood as an example. You have all these corporations, they are putting and investing money into this actor, this child, to then quote unquote use this child as a kid actor to then make money off of him as well. So if you're looking at it in a more business perspective, you would hope that they're taking some of it, put it in the child trust fund, put it in the savings or whatever, and I have no problem with them taking half of it and then using that also as profit for them, because they put money into the project to begin with.
Yeah, but not. And I ain't talking about like them specifically. I'm talking about the other
Yeah,
children.
but I mean, if they take money for them, then it's going for the whole family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they the parents, they
Mm,
paying for everything regardless.
okay, yeah, yeah. In that aspect, yeah, I see
Yeah.
what you're saying.
So it really
And what do you think of the idea of actually having this conversation with the kid? Like, let's say he's 10 years old,
Yeah.
somewhere around that. You basically propose a pros and cons. Like, okay, lay it out. If the money that's coming, basically just sit your child down and be like, "Yo, there's a lot of money coming in from this YouTube channel. What would you rather do with it? Are you cool with the idea of this being like this is family money, so it's just on your father and mother to decide how it gets divided up? Do you want it to be saved up so that it could go, or do you think like they would just having that conversation with the kid? Do you feel it's smart enough to understand it, like to actually
I
make a
it
decision?
really, again, it really depends.
depends.
It
Hmm.
depends on, like, do you then
I like
now
how we're
want
doing
to,
Kana now, but continue.
yeah, do you really want to then have
King catch a
monetary
king.
discussions with your child while he's that young? Because here's the thing, right? When I was younger, I did not like fully understand like money in general. Because for me, it was just I wanted something, I went to my parents to get it. And I just got a yes or no. I'm not sure, like, you could talk about it. But I would argue that having that conversation would be better when the child is a little older and a little bit more understanding of what the situation actually is. You would just hope that these parents are good good parents, basically, to at least to take like half of, like, a good percentage of that money and put it in the savings for the child, because that's basically the only thing you could do until the kid's old enough to have the conversation with. Because if the kid's too young, like, you could talk about it, but like, the kid isn't gonna, like, most kids are not gonna say no. You understand? Because
Is it
this
What?
framing of no in the
Yo,
sense of don't.
yo, let me show you something. Let me show
It
you something.
depends how you present it.
I
How you
I
frame it,
wa-
yes, exactly. If you
Let me
want,
show you
if
something.
you want to,
I was enough of a dick. I believe if my father, if I had money like that, if my father come and tell me, "Hey, do you want to share this with your brothers and sisters?" I'd be like, "No."
no, but that's no, but I mean, in the sense of, you go frame it in a way that you go, like, you go say that shit with your with your mother, with your brother and sister. Gonna be like we taking, me and your mom taking a certain percentage of the total revenue to pay for things in the house, food, blah 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 blah. Blah.
I don't know. Me personally, if I had to go about doing it, I would have that conversation with my child, but I wouldn't take too much stock in it. What I would more be focusing on is the development of the answer. So I would ask that question when they're 6. I will ask that question when they're 7. I will ask that question when they're 8. I will ask that question when they're 9. And they keep putting away the money for them mostly. But if I see their answer more or less staying the same as they get older, then I more or less know how they would feel with how I going to use the money.
Yeah, but
Different
Bye.
but
question.
yeah,
Different
But I
question.
disagree though. I
No,
feel like I feel like to me it would depend on how much a child making. Cause if the child only like if the child making a crazy amount of money, in that circumstance, I feel like then it would be okay. Once you know that that child set completely for the future, you got enough money put aside, and he gonna be fine regardless. I feel like then it don't matter if you spend some of the money on the other children, you understand? And to a certain extent, it wouldn't be completely fair for you to not spend any money on the other kids, because they're
Understand that?
gonna be seeing what
yeah,
kind of future this child getting and not the other one. But at the same time, it depends on how much the child making. Because if the child making money, only enough money to set that child up for the future, and you got other children, I feel like then it would not be fair for you to take that money and spend it on your other children when that child basically making enough money to set himself up
yeah,
and ain't got much more. It depends on how much leeway you got with the money, I feel like.
yeah, and I think it also depends on like how you're looking at this, because let's keep it real. Like if you're looking at it more as on a business side, and you as an investor put money, like if you have to just take out the family part of it for a second, and you just look at it, if this was your kid, right, and you sent your kid to Nickelodeon to go work for Nickelodeon or Disney, be a Disney child and stuff like that.
Mm.
Your if the show, like let's say Raven popped off, like she didn't see the majority of the revenue that she made. So
Hmm.
most of the money went to Disney. So we could look at it also in the sense of Disney is the parents.
Oh, like that you mean?
And if a percentage
Mm,
of the money, if they say, okay, 40% of the revenue you making goes to your funds and the rest goes to um like funding the corporation with
parent.
in this case is the family.
like the
um
house and all that kind of bills and all that kind of shit.
I also wouldn't have a problem with it, because at the end of the day, if you're just looking at it pure business wise, like what do we deem as fair for a person to make?
Mm.
Because if the person making good enough money and you're saying 40% is solely yours and 60 goes to the whole family, I wouldn't have a problem with it either. Because the kid is also enjoying from the 60% that he's not going to his trust fund, but it's still going towards him as well. It's
This is
not
true.
it's not 60% going to just the other family and not him. It's 60% for the whole family, and the 40% is solely for him. So
That's,
it
I
really.
think I think that would make more sense because along the lines where I was actually one of the other questions I was gonna ask to go with it is like do you guys feel like that would create a problem within the family as in quote unquote favorite?
Potentially.
Because if that's the case, then there might be some resentment with the brothers and sisters. There might be resentment with like especially with the other
It
siblings and the
depends.
But
mother.
I mean that
I
that
mean the
that could
parent.
be that could be with any
That could
any
be
any
any family.
yeah.
This is true.
Because it's
Mm-hmm.
also just a kid going to, if the kid just take your YouTube out of it and then put kid in Hollywood, same story, different scenario.
Oh,
Mhm.
excelling at school,
Yeah,
sports, anything like that.
just imagine being LeBron James's brother. Who knows
Mm.
LeBron James's brother or sister?
Yeah, that's really rough.
Yeah,
And if you think about it, like the corporation, quote unquote, should be getting a percentage when talking about money, right? Like,
Hmm.
sure, the kids are what you see, but the kids are not recording, are not editing, are not
Editing.
uploading, are
Mm-hmm.
not, the behind the scenes stuff that you're not seeing as a viewer. Like these things, that's it's actually putting in work as well into the video and into the success
yeah.
of said videos.
So
So,
it's like it again.
To me, like
It's
to me,
tricky
this
because
reminds me of, and this is gonna be a weird example.
that's usually
And like this is gonna be a weird example, but it comes from a show. I was watching called Cheer. I don't know if any of y'all familiar with it, but there was a main one where he was
What's
like,
it
okay, this
called?
is something we
Can you say
both
the
could
name one
enjoy.
more
But
time?
basically,
Did you
it
say
was
Cheer?
Cheer.
Oh,
I
chill.
watched
Okay.
it on Netflix.
Yes, cheerleading show.
Okay.
Yes, I did
Jesus
watch it.
Christ.
And there's this one particular chick who was like 16 or 17 and became this whole
Mm-hmm.
international cheerleading sensation thing, and her whole family, they run the business like her father, some manager, her mother. They handle her scheduling and where she go into organize these training camps for
Yep.
cheerleading and different things like that. To me, that's the same type of scenario where we and the chick herself, she expressed that she wants a break from it. She's tired of it, but her family kind of forces her into it because she is the cash cow of the family. That is literally the family business. Like the mother and the father don't have jobs
Right.
but to manage this girl's career. And you can like, it looks bad in a way, but to me it's like, yo, we made you. I make the rules for you until you're legally an adult, technically. So it's like I don't fault them necessarily.
Right.
And also, like, if we just look at the whole Michael
Mm.
Jackson story, like, that's basically it. The dad was the manager. Mind you, he beat the
Yeah,
talent in all of his kids. Not the best way, but
And in some
Beyonce
aspects,
knows.
he beat the blackouts in them too. But
yeah,
hey,
but on the flip
Beat
side,
it, beat it,
he
beat
did,
it, beat it.
wow, that's a
You
fuck
know?
up reference,
yeah,
but it does make sense.
he did set up all his children for life. Basically,
And they're
But
cheering.
but my question is, with that's concerned, is all that emotional trauma
Worth it.
worth the financial gain that they got?
no. But that's the thing. I'm saying the way that he went about it, because it could have been in a sense that yeah, the kids wanted to play, but he could have encouraged them without beating them. You understand? Not causing
But
that mental trauma and stuff, but
Yeah,
explaining to them that the way the way
Beyonce
society,
knows. Beyonce
yeah,
example of the same thing.
yeah, like the way the
Without the beating, there's Beyonce knows.
Okay, yeah,
mm,
Woods.
yeah. So he could have done it in the sense that the way society works, especially because we're in the United States, like we're black, like like guys, we're not gonna get an opportunity like this again. So like do it in another way to explain to them like the way the society's hierarchy is set up. Like we're not gonna get a second chance. Like we got in now in Motown, we gotta do our best to stay in. You understand? So and also like context is key. Maybe the way how the father was brought up as well was not the best way. Maybe he got licks and like all of
Right.
that stuff. I don't want to go too deep into that, but we going on. I feel like I'm going out into a tangent there, but
Hey, I'm glad you catch yourself. Proud of
but
you.
I feel like it's somewhat still on topic. Personally, I feel like that situation. I feel like that's a good example. Even if you remove the beatings from the situation, I feel like what really affected Michael Jackson in particular is him being in the spotlight from such a young age, because any interview you see about his family talking about him, his friends talking about him, saying that the reason he had all those animals and the reason why he constantly wanted to hang around with children is because he never had a childhood. So like mentally, that's the place he was at. And that's what personally I always worry about when I see these children and like videos and stuff like that, and people making a lot of money off of them, is I end look how they're going to develop as people. Like, are they going to be like mentally okay, mentally stable? Are they going to have like effects from it? Because Michael Jackson, for example, I feel like most people would agree that like mentally he was still trying to be a child because he never got to experience that because he was in the spotlight his whole life. So that was more so where I feel like that's a good example of why saying with these kids is like you don't know how it will affect them in the future. And not only that, what I was thinking too is also like the difference to me between a parent posting a picture of the child on Instagram or whatever and somebody making a YouTube video, especially when they have a large platform where a YouTube video is. You don't realize how much what a parent says or does, their actions can actually affect their kids. Because, especially in this cancel culture life, the people you are associated with is going to have an impact on your life. For example, if I get seen in a video with somebody who making a ton load of racist comments, it don't matter if that's my brother, my sister, my cousin, my friend. People gonna see me in that video and be like, "Oh shit!" But what going on? You understand? So I check in like in that sense that your parents might say something in a video, you gonna automatically get associated with it, and that gonna be a whole nother situation.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
But
there's so there's just so many possibilities of how this could go wrong that I just personally don't really fuck with it.
Yeah, but
wait,
again,
wait, wait,
it's
wait.
a it's a
Hold on
it's
there.
a
What? Hold on there. Was let me think. King, how you mean with Beyonce? King.
Father is her manager. Ever since
yeah.
she was like a teenage
A
young girl,
teenager.
her whole thing was you gotta run and dance in heels and be doing breathing exercises and dance training, all these things. She was a product, a child that was made and groomed to be a star the same way Michael Jackson was. The only difference is and even before she was in like she was in pageants and stuff from a young age, the little beauty pageants that she would be in. Like she had the same type of life where it's like, look at where she is now. She's nowhere near as off the rails as Michael Jackson. She went through a lot of the same type of philosophy that how Michael Jackson was raised. And there's mad people like that. But what you could say is another one. Like, not to say that they all turn out well, but Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen, also child stars. Raven was also mentioned. Macaulay Culkin you could throw in there too. Like it goes off the rails for a lot of
Britney
people.
Spears, Justin Timberlake, Christina Aguilera, all of these kids were the Disney kids and stuff like that.
Amanda, whatever her name is, the crazy one.
Amanda
Bands.
Bynes.
Vines, there we go.
So y'all legit feel like there's a correlation between not between your child and not molesting your child when they was younger.
What?
What?
But that isn't that the main difference with Michael Jackson? Oh, okay, let me ask this question. Don't y'all feel like that was the main difference between how Michael Jackson turned out and how Beyonce turned out? Michael Jackson's father legit was
Uh,
beating and molesting him, whereas Beyonce's father was maybe just like a
Sorry.
little rough on him.
Hold up, hold up. Did you say molesting your child? Did I hear that correctly?
Was Michael Jackson's father? That's what the case was with him.
he's comparing Michael Jackson and Beyonce and making a comparison that one came out good because he wasn't molested and the other one did not came out good.
I know all of that.
If
I
that
didn't know
was
he
the
was
case,
molested.
if Michael Jackson was molested by Joe Jackson, that's something I don't know about. If that's a
Yeah.
rumor,
What
yeah,
what
I
what
might
do
have
we
not
what
have
do we
heard that
consider?
one. I know there was beatings and stuff. You talking about molestation? I don't know what I don't know about.
Apparently, okay. The rumor is
And
But to
apparently he
me, the
was
difference is
chemically.
age.
Hmm,
I had nothing King said though.
me neither.
All right, I'm glad it's only me.
The difference was age, basically. Say and like before they was
Mm.
really put
That's
into the
what I thought it
limelight.
was.
The difference is mainly
Mm-hmm.
By
age. Like
I
Beyonce was a teenager, Michael Jackson was a child.
by
And
all
that's
right.
why saying the ones that end up off the rails, like Amanda Bynes, she was like when she had the Amanda show, and she was famous before then. All the ones that end up having substance abuse problems, Demi Lovato, she was on Barney. Like a lot of them, they just I feel like they start really young and then they just at a certain point they didn't know what to do with themselves. I mean, Miley Cyrus too. Remember she was doing her. I feel like she was still somewhat there, you know.
No,
No,
no, she
I mean,
wasn't.
she make a
I
comeback.
mean
Yeah,
you
man.
could say
Yeah, she
No,
Justin
was just dressing
no,
Timberlake
wild.
or
no. You
She
Britney
could
was
say
dressing
Spears.
wild.
You could say Justin Timberlake. You could say
Yeah,
maybe Christina Aguilera.
not Britney Spears.
Not Britney Spears, obviously.
But you know, the older I get, the more I understand her shaving all her head off during a mental breakdown. Like I really do.
You're
You-
you're
The
right.
more I've understood.
I
By Rashid, I kind of on that same
I
question with
think
you because
I think we
I
getting
think
a
we,
little
Yeah, yeah,
distracted,
we're
but like
going on a
around the
tangent.
adoption thing,
Yeah,
do
we
y'all
going
think
on a
about that
tangent.
time to like bring in the other
Yep.
segment
Yep. I was just
in the
about to say.
specific YouTube family?
Yeah, okay. So specifically, we want to talk about Myka Stauffer and just a little short explanation as to what happened. The reason why I started off with the first topic is because Myka Stauffer had adopted a child from China, a special needs child, who she later on rehomed about 3 years later. And Myka Stauffer's channel, hers, her husband, and her family channel grew sevenfold when she started making adoption videos about this child. And she made like an entire series before actually getting the child. She also said in some of the videos that she was warned that um this child would be extremely difficult because of all of his special needs, and she didn't listen. She even said in the video that it went in one ear and went out the next. And she also said in that video that my son is not returnable. This was before she got her son, right? So then she got her son. They were making like a ton of content around this boy, and he was like the main focus of the channel. Prior to him being adopted, she did have um three other kids, and she was making videos before then, but more about like home furnishing and stuff like that. And then she moved into like the family channel when she saw how much traffic her channel was getting due to her adopted son from China, right? And basically a lot of content was surrounding her adoptive son. There was also a lot of scandals because it seemed like she was treating the adoptive son differently than she was treating her other kids. For example, she had duct tape his finger to get him to stop sucking his finger. It was really strange. And she was putting like a lot of meltdowns and stuff, like a couple of meltdowns in her video. And basically she kept making it seem like she was like holier than thou. Like she was posting about, yeah, how much she loved her son and stuff like that. And then abruptly she just stopped posting the boy. She did not address the situation. She was posting pictures with the rest of her kids. She actually did have another child after she had the adopted son, and she just didn't address it for months. Was just posting videos with the other kids, and then they came out and said, oh, that they rehomed the boy, which is, by the way, illegal. um you have to dissolve the adoption and not rehome. Rehoming is like a underground type thing where um there's not as much control over it, so they don't get the new family doesn't get checked as much. Anyways, there was a whole situation, and that's why we talked about the first topic. And anybody got anything to say? Like, I would assume King, maybe you go first.
Well, just to start off, like regarding this is a difficult thing because there's two sides. But my main
Mm-hmm.
thing, like when I saw the video of her crying, and because that's kind of what triggered this as a topic for me, shedding all her tears and looking for sympathy because she's basically trying to make it seem like she was a victim, that she's not that bad of a person type of thing, and it was a super traumatic and stressful experience. It's like, I ain't here for your tears. Like, you knew what you was getting into, so deal with the consequences or don't take it. Because in the video, like you said, the receipts came out showing you was lying, and you knew what it was you was getting into. You knew that it was gonna have difficulties, and it was gonna be difficult raising an autistic, because I think it's autism that the child has, right?
Yeah, he was autistic.
But you
Oh, she
first
was also a
deal
former resident
autistic.
nurse.
Oh, the chick who adopted the
Mm-hmm.
person.
She was a mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And she
So
worked in
you
like
well
the
aware
neuro
of what
ward.
goes.
Exactly.
So you
Because
well
initially she
aware of
was
what
told
goes
he
on
had
with
a brain
autistic
tumor.
children and how the difficulties can be.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But to me, all of that is just like more proof on it. Why it's like you knew what you was getting into. Don't come trying to pull out the sympathy card. I understand if you didn't know if it was not made aware, like if you wasn't made aware that the child had a condition or this was the situation with the child, and you do it, you try your best and whatnot. Because I think I remember seeing something that they had special therapy classes that was 6,000 or 7,000 or some crazy amount that like the needs of a special needs child. If you just thought it would be manageable and then you couldn't handle it because it was more than you anticipated, I could understand that. I have a little bit more respect in that situation. But you knew what you was getting into. Not only that, you're an educated person, like you were just saying, in the field of of exactly how difficult this is going to be. So it's like no sympathy for you. I don't know if it was a different situation. But yeah, if anybody else got anything to add, that's kind of how we feel about
Bye.
this specific
Uh,
This
situation.
this
I,
is
I feel,
Rashid. You go first.
I kind of echo what King was saying essentially. The part that really bothered me was like how they bring up the receipts and they had the video at first before she got the child saying how she knew the child was these special needs. The doctor explained how difficult this could be and how he kind of advised against it, but it went in one ear, went out the other, and she say verbatim, "My child is not returnable." My child is not returnable. In my head is like, okay, say you give birth a biological child now and it came out autistic, right? Would that child be treated the same way? And I don't think that would be the case.
Good
So
point.
it's like,
Good
Yeah.
point.
Solid
I
point.
agree.
so if you're gonna adopt this child
I
and
would
before you even get the child, say, "Oh, my child is not returnable," like keep that same energy.
is that
Yeah.
I would like to add that it was not a financial situation though, because I mean, just based on the videos that they themselves put up,
Mhm.
she put up a video saying how much revenue her husband made on one YouTube video, and he made something like 40K on one video, and it wasn't even fully like monetized. So she said I had more ads on it, she could have made up to 80K on that one video. And also, if you see in the videos, they live in a mansion. Like n- money was never stated as a problem. And if the problem was like attention or anything like that, I find it very odd that you say you were overwhelmed by this child and you proceeded to have another child after this one. That's what I find very strange. And I don't being about, oh, but China didn't leave us no this and that, her and her husband. However, they said in the previous video that they chose to adopt a special needs child because there are two lists basically that you could adopt off of. You could adopt special needs or non-special needs. And they decided to adopt somebody who was special needs child. And then also I find the posts were a little sketchy because somebody also pulled up receipts of in her comment section she had asked and like if anybody could suggest a type of special needs that most people would consider to be like extremely difficult or high maintenance that really isn't. So it seemed like, to me, in my opinion, it seemed like she wanted this child to be special needs, but she didn't want something that would require a lot of attention, or that it would make her seem good to other
Make it look
people.
good, but not the
But
reality.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This
That sounds like
is
intent
yeah.
to
This
exploit.
is
When
this
when
is an
you when you
open
see,
shut case for me. Like they're wrong. Like there is no debate in it. They didn't even address it when they need to address it to begin with. It legit seems like they just got the child to make videos off of it and then give the child away. Like this is legit, like there's no arguments here. You see it, you don't even have to think about it. You see it and you come up with an answer, dog. That's how easy this thing is. For
And the
me,
fact,
personally.
I agree with was the fact that homegirl even say that, yeah, my child is not returnable. that already gives me the impression that she already researched that, like she was possibly already thinking of giving back the child. So if that's just already sense, in what was the point of going through an adoption? Might as well just go have your own kids. Why adopt a child?
No, but I think when she said my child is not returnable, I don't think she meant like it was impossible to return a child. I think it meant for her as a mother, you know,
Yeah,
to make it seem like
I
she's
Mm.
also
a
think so.
good mother type of thing.
Because this was before she adopted the child. This was when they told her, when she was advised against it. That's what her rebuttal was. She said that no, in her mind, this was already her child, and her child was not returnable. Because initially, from what I understood, they were not they were not thinking about adopting a special needs child. And then all of a sudden, she decided that she wanted to adopt a special needs child, and she
Yeah,
didn't care what the doctors was going to tell her. And she said that because of her experience, because what she said specifically was that she used to work as a resident nurse, RN, and she was in a neurological department. So her special focus was anything having to do with like neurological issues, right? In which case, she was under the impression that this child had a brain tumor. Okay? At first. And then the doctor called her, because they went through agencies and stuff like that, and she was informed about the situation, how dire it was basically, and how much attention he would need because he's autistic. And I don't know, like I just don't understand
It's a
if this
mixed
is what
situation.
you went into this child knowing. And this is exactly why I was saying about them not having laws concerning revenue from the child, because now the baby gone. She still got up the videos and they still monetized. She's still making money off of it. And I'm almost certain that the money that was made is not in a trust fund for this little boy.
Yeah,
Like,
like in this case, they should be locked up. My personal opinion, but
oh, they're under investigation now, by the way,
well, the money,
because she
the
didn't
child,
go through the proper channels
yeah, the child gonna get some money
to
regardless.
rehome him, because
you think
rehoming
the
is
child get money?
illegal. It's not, but I don't think the child is going to get money, honestly. But I
Me
also
neither.
feel like it's not even about the money necessarily. I feel like it's very traumatic for the child, because they also said that this little boy had he had issues, he had attachment issues, right? And he's autistic to begin, he already has that problem to begin with. He's autistic, and then he had really bad attachment issues. And then so for him to be with a family for 3 years, look, where adoption is concerned, is not unheard of for you to dissolve a adoption. But usually this happens within few months. If you see that you really can't take care of this child, I understand that. Like, if you feel like you can't take care of a child and you just didn't know what you're getting yourself into, I completely understand. If within like a few months you say, you know what, I cannot do this child is not going to get what this child needs, so it needs to go to this child needs to go to an adequate home. That I understand. What I don't understand is why you would keep a child for 3 years that you already knew had attachment issues. You understand what I'm saying? And then now to rehome this child who's autistic, has attachment issues, have a bunch of different issues. Now you're just like setting him up to fail, basically, because you took him out of his country, right? Because you wanted to be what? Because you wanted to look good on YouTube, like, bro.
But
I don't understand.
here's why I think he's probably going to get some money, because what you just told me was the way they did the rehoming was not an illegal process. It was illegally done. So if a lawyer is going to represent this kid, and if they're doing investigations on these people, if anything comes out of this, they're going to lose money regardless. Because if it was something done illegally, like, I don't see how they're gonna get out of this without getting some time and without paying money.
I see what you mean. I see. I think I see it in what you mean, and not a little bit
But I don't
more.
know. That money goes to the kid though.
Yeah, but I think
I
more.
don't think it will go to the kid.
No, no, but I think where the scenario could be that way is that if they could prove that the child did make, because of the child being there, raise their revenue, or they got some more income because of that specific child.
Mm-hmm.
If a lawyer could prove that,
You could
then I
easily
could
prove it.
I could see I could see how, if the lawyer wants to, and if the boy is lucky enough, that somebody would fight for him on that level.
Cause
I
this
could see that
because
happening.
this would be you could make the argument that this would be like in a sense of like a quote unquote family where the kid was making revenue and the money was supposed to be used for the kid. Like if the kid was still living with the parents,
But
then they couldn't make that argument. But the argument is being made now that they still have videos of this kid up
Hmm.
profiting from him. Like that's where they could easily make the argument that
I believe so as
one
well.
thing what they did was already illegal. They're
The
technically
point that
still the
I'm
legal parents of this kid in a sense. If the rehoming the way they did it was illegal, they just sent this kid away. You in that sense already they should be paying for this kid's just fees in general because they're the legal guardians regardless.
I um I don't know because a lot of this, for example, that's what I'm saying. If this child was in Hollywood and making money because of the laws that are in place, the child would get the money. However, YouTube don't have those type of laws set
Yes,
in
they
place.
do.
So if the channel not know, not for children
Yeah,
no, because
for people
the
in
money,
general, if I'm in a
the
video of
money
yours,
that yes, but what's the thing is, who does the money go to? If the channel is in your name, right, is registered in your bank account or whatever, is going whatever money you make off of that video
yeah.
is going to you.
But if they can
How you
generate and
gonna
see,
prove what
it's
portion of
it's
it?
easily
No, but I do agree.
it's
I do agree that you can't prove that the channel grew sevenfold when they started making these adoption videos. However, some of the videos the child wasn't even in it.
yeah, but you can legit see which videos, because that YouTube works in a way that you could legit see which videos made so many views, had so many what the amount of
Yeah,
revenue
I
it
know.
made. You could see that, and if they go through their whole balance, because you have a Google Wallet, and the Google Wallet legit tells you where you get every cent from. So if they go with yeah if they go take the whole balance sheet and look at it, they can make a legit argument to say that this kid, they use this video, they ain't take they even if you delete the video, the money that was made is still up on the Google Wallet. So if the court say we want to see all papers and stuff like that, they can make an easy argument for the kid because
But the problem with that is, even if all of that is done and there is a legitimate case and there's money won, I'm just pessimistic about any of this money actually going to the kid who has no parents potentially, or is just a part of the system more or less. He's a child of
it
the state
really
because you're in adoption systems. Is like, yeah, there might be some social worker who's tasked with making sure
Okay.
this money gets to you or setting up the trust and those type of things, but I'm just not pessimistic that that is, and this child is also autistic who I don't know how good he interacts and what his social skills are like and stuff like that, for this child to stand up and speak up for his own rights. I doubt, I'm seeing that as
I
highly
mean
unlikely. Like,
that's why you would hope that the
it
like you
That
only
would say it
can
depends on
takes
the
one
lawyer. It
yeah
would
it
hope
really it
one
really
it have to
depends
person
be
trying
on
to
lucky.
help this person just
yeah
because.
yeah it really just depends on if the person is a good person by the end of the day. Like we can't sit now and be like yeah but we don't know if the money could go there. The only thing I can say for sure is if they take that route they can make an easy argument
Yeah,
There's a
to
case.
get money for the kid.
There's a case.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
agree with
That,
that
that
part. There definitely is a case. I'm
just
just
saying
like,
it's possible. But also, where we got to take into consideration is a Chinese child. So, like, do Chinese laws apply? Are they
No, the moment
considered to
they the
be
moment
thing?
mm,
the moment
No, the
they
moment they get
adopt
adopted
it, it's
out
American.
is different because now he fall under whatever laws America have in place because that's where he was living
Okay.
and that's where he was registered That's where
Okay.
he was adopted out to.
And if it's in
Okay.
But
LA, for example, then they're in one of the most liberal
mhm.
states, and trust me, there's laws for this.
Okay. I was just curious. I don't know necessarily the process of all that.
Yeah, it depends
But
what
So
state.
I guess we could all come to the consensus and say it's fucked up. I kind of feel like I kind of maybe not as extreme as Woods. Maybe they should get locked up, but they should definitely be shamed and fined.
Boy, once you give away your
yeah,
kid illegally, that's fucked. I don't care, dog. You're locked up, dog. If you didn't do it in
it
the legal
seemed like
procedure,
Then what happens to the other kids if they get locked up?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking of too.
boy, the parents rich. They said, I would rather they go with the grandparents if this is how their parents treat people in general, dog. Just like
Yeah,
pigs.
but wait. But wait.
Yeah,
I see where you're going, right, Woods? But there's a different side to that coin. If the parents are like this, don't you think that they kind of got the morals from the grandparents?
Yeah, no, but I understand what you're saying. But Biggs,
That might be
this
putting them
is
in a dangerous situation too, yo.
boy. They're already in a dangerous situation. Regardless,
This
this
is
is
true.
neglect to the highest
Hope
degree, dog.
they have an aunt or uncle or something.
Hmm?
What I can?
That's all they could do. Hope they have aunts and uncles.
No.
Well,
How
wouldn't
hope
it
they
be
have
like the same
ho-
situation then?
hopefully they have proper aunts and uncles. You mean because it all depends on the person too. If you have someone that
Probably.
generally care and then genuinely want to do good by that child or by the children, by they're gonna just be in the system and just be as messed up as shiny homeboy.
honestly, it really
So
comes
what
down
Calista
to
you think?
if the rehoming that they did was legal or not.
And from what Calista
Okay,
was
so
saying, it's not. So
they're under investigation. Let me explain that a little more. They're under investigation because in the video they said that they had rehomed the little boy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And apparently they had alluded to the fact that they went through legal channels, like they went through an adoption agency. But however, whenever this scandal broke, the adoption agency from their state and whatever information they could pull up made a public announcement saying that what she was saying is not true. She didn't go through us. There's no record of this. So that is why
Kaba.
she's now under investigation because technically rehoming is not legal due to the fact that the new parents they aren't under as much scrutiny
it's
or whatever.
it's
Like they don't,
unregulated.
yeah, it's unregulated basically,
Kaba.
which like
Yeah, that pretty much solidifies it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
it's
this
you
is
could see even though they did say the little boys forever home have like the mother has medical training or whatever, and I was watching it checking like sis, but so did you. What's your point?
like
Like she was trying to make it seem like, like she did the best thing for him, which to be honest with you, if that's how she was treating him, he probably in a better place. Like
like
if what she says is true about the new family, then he is probably in a better place considering that this new family ain't putting him up on nothing or and this person supposedly have medical training and genuinely wanted to take care of this little boy and had the means to do it according to them, then he probably in a new home, but then a better home. But then it begs the question: if this person was so fitted to take care of this little boy, why couldn't they go through legal channels to get the adopted child?
at this
Why did
point
they have to go through
at this
like
point at this point whatever these people say, I don't trust one lick a cent of it.
Yeah, though.
Cause like
Yeah,
now I looking at it even worse. Not just looking at it as a parent and a child, because that's basically what it is. Like if you as a parent just throw your kid out and not follow legal means for adoption for someone to adopt your child, you're fucked. And this is basically what happened. This is basically it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. 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 Maybe I'm more leaning on your things. You should probably they should probably get locked up with.
they
I
should,
think I'm more
dog.
leaning
They
on your.
should, dog. There's no ifs or buts about it, dog. This is child endangerment. Just giving it because the adoption people, they don't even audit these people. They don't know what the background is. God knows what these people do
Mm-hmm.
behind closed doors and stuff like that. And like it could be that these people are fans of this girl and they just wanted the kid to say they have the kid that this girl used to have, and God knows what they plan on doing with this child. Like
Yeah, but
pigs.
that's why it's problematic as well because the system is unregulated, and that's why that's probably yeah. I mean, that is why they're getting investigated. I think this more or less like yeah. I don't know how you could argue against anything here we say.
Yeah. How about the follow up question to this then, Kalisa? Follow up topic.
All right. Well, the follow up topic would be how y'all feel about people. Actually, I want to make it two parts. How y'all feel about like adoption agencies in general? Do you think is regulated enough? And then I also wanted to discuss how y'all feel about people from different races, like adopting a child. So you adopting, like, especially like what I see a lot is white people adopting black children, or like basically any person out adopting a child that's outside of their own race or going to other countries to bring in children. How do we feel about this?
Can I start?
Kana.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool. Go ahead.
what's got here on?
Um, adoption in general, I have no problem with it. I, for the longest time, was planning to adopt a kid, but I am also
Mm-hmm.
the guy that's vegan here, so I'm the most likely
Mm-hmm.
person to adopt a child.
What does
Um,
that have to
Wow.
do with
I
anything?
mean,
yeah,
I
yeah,
always wanted to
What does
adopt a child
veganism
too.
have to do with
So
adoption?
because veganism is not just
right,
saving
he trying to say
animals;
that
it's
he's a better
also
person than us. That's what he's telling us.
no. Veganism is not just
I'm joking. I'm joking.
for animals; it's also for the environment and stuff like that. And like having a child is not the most like how can you say it's not
Environmentally friendly.
environmentally friendly thing to do. But again, that's
So you're saying you want to recycle humans because there's too much?
no. I'm saying is King. Don't put words in my mouth. But
No, no,
regardless,
no, 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 no. Fuck that. Yeah, that's exactly what. And I agree with that. Fuck too. I
what,
agree with that statement. I
what,
agree with that.
what?
Recycle humans. Why make more? The world already overpopulated. They got children
Exactly.
that need better homes. I agree with you 100%.
Oh well,
First
exactly.
of
That's
all,
why. That's why.
I
That's
agree.
why I say.
I
That's
would
why I say
100%
adopt.
adopt a child.
Yeah, that's
No,
why
but I
adopt.
agree with
I
the
would
I agree with the
100%
statement.
adopt.
I keep that same statement as well, King. Nah, fuck that. Recycle humans,
Recycle
yeah.
them. Recycle
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
okay, we
Recycle them.
recycling humans
Oh
and
my
Yeah, yeah,
god. It's a
yeah.
fucked up way to say
First
it.
of
It's a
all,
fucked up way
yeah.
to
to
say
be
it.
But
It's
honest with
true.
you, is really a pro because not very many people get to choose their child.
yeah, but
I mean,
the thing with recycling is the child has to be used up first, and then you recycle it. No, you can't use recycle. Though. That means the child went through
Okay.
a bunch of shit,
Yo,
and then you
it's going
recycled it,
real
and you got
dark.
a new child. Dog. That's what recycling
Let's
means. No.
let's not
I
use
could
the
see this
term
gonna be a little.
No.
Yeah,
recycle
dog.
What it
either.
means,
That's not the best term to use for a child. But again, if we want to
means
use
a
that as the
child was
link
I
up
mean,
discarded,
podcast, we can. Like
which
if
is
we
what happened.
discarded
The
child.
same way people
He king right,
discard
a
a
discarded
can,
child.
a child was discarded
yeah,
because
but
It's the
the
same. It's
parents
the
didn't
same
want it,
thing.
so they
but
discarded the
And
child.
you understand what the
this,
recycling process
I know what
is,
you're getting
right?
so sensitive about.
yeah, we understand how it
I
sound like it
understand,
sound bad. It
Yeah, it
but
sound. We
you
sounds
want to
understand
start
bad.
that,
with your
but
vegan, therefore
Eh,
I'm adopting, and it's like veganism has nothing to do with adoption. Like
No, but
no,
it
but
has something to
he did
do
explain it as
with
well.
wait, hold on, guys.
environmentally
Guys, hold
friendly.
on. One
King.
at a time, please, because we're starting to.
which is why I use
Right.
the recycle phrase. You enter that kind of jargon, so I continue using that
Yeah,
type
but
of
then I
jargon,
said
and I
then
don't know what all these emotions coming from.
yeah, but I just saying recycling is not the best term
Anyways,
to give to a
once
child.
once finish what you were saying about adoption, please, for the love of God.
But anyway, so I have no problem with adoption. I was always thinking about doing adoptions and stuff like that. When it comes to like different races and stuff, I also don't have a problem with it. At the end of the day, it's just the person, because regardless of the person's color or skin, at the end of the day, when you're a baby, you're going to adopt the norms and values of the person you grow up with. It's not because you're black, you're going to grow up with black tendencies, because your parents are black. It's what are the norms and values
Okay.
that your parents have. That's what most likely you're going to adopt as a child. Now, where I'm more iffy with it is what is the intentions of the parents, and that's why the vetting process is a very, very important thing. And again, depending on where you live in, the vetting process is radically different. Um, like in the Netherlands, it's very hard to adopt a child. You cannot just adopt a child like that. Some people don't even come in. Like people with good standings and have
In
good jobs
aanmerking.
do
Mm-hmm.
not come in on market at all to get a child, and they're like monetary wise they're good. Like when you look at their background, they're not good, but just like mentally, like maybe psychologically, they're not there yet, and they don't get approved. I know in the US it's far easier. Obviously, looking at what we just talked about, it's far easier to get a child. Because I think sometimes they look at just monetary wise more than anything else. Um, but I don't have a problem with it. It's just again, it comes down to a case by case basis. Because I have friends that been adopted, and the parents are white, and they are
Mm-hmm.
one of the most like they've been through the best childhood compared to other people that I know. So it really comes down to who the parents are and what are their norms and values, basically.
Mm. Um,
So do you feel do oh, you were going to say something, Rashid?
no, no, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to ask what's how you feel about the vetting process then, because like personally, like I've seen a lot of cases, especially in the news in recent years, where particularly black kids going to white homes were abused or treated differently or treated like slaves and stuff like that. Um, and also like minor stuff in different cases where it just seemed to me like the vetting process was not adequate enough.
Yeah, it
So do you
really.
feel like the vetting process is like adequate? And let's talk about the US then, in the
Yeah,
US.
because if you're talking about the US, then yes, it needs to be way better. Because in the US, in my opinion, it's too easy to adopt a child, and also because like okay, like racism is a thing. So when it's a a white person, for example, or a Caucasian, let's say that, adopts a black child, you also need to look at the background of this person. You need to look at what's the history, what's their family's history,
What it
like
posting.
yeah, what they posted on social
Mm-hmm.
media. Did you see a
Mm-hmm.
Confederate flag in the house? Because the US is what the US is, like you can't willy nilly let people adopt other other races just like that because there's context into it. And I think that's also like that's the biggest problem. Yes, it needs to be fixed. Just like how the cops need to be fixed in the US, the vetting process for
The US
adopting
just needs
kids
to be
need to be
fixed.
fixed. What do you say, Connor?
No, no, sorry, it was an unnecessary comment. My bad.
I mean, you kinda do.
It's that. It's really that.
Anybody else want to say the thought?
Where adoption is concerned, I personally don't have an issue with it. I personally don't have much experience with it either, so there's only so much I can say. When it comes to interracial adoption, I mean that's fine too. Like some people can't give birth to children, and that would lead them to adopt. But then, yeah, I don't, I can't see that and not think of okay, why are you specifically going the interracial route rather than your own? The question just pops up, but yeah, I
Mm,
generally don't have an issue with it.
Mhm.
I think that's more or
My
less on
answer
what
to that
Woods
is
was saying.
virtue signaling. To answer Rashid question, I answer that as virtue signaling to me more than anything. White savior complex in full effect, where it's
Yeah,
like,
I
oh,
was
I
gonna
must
say
go
that.
over here and
Yeah.
feed the kids in Africa and show that I'm a great person by adopting this, be this white white arrow, this assumption that is like, yo, our life is better. I'm gonna go over there, take somebody who having a shitty life, and I'm gonna give them a better home type. Like in some cases, it genuinely is the case where it's like, yo, you in a war-torn country, you're in a refugee program, you get assigned to certain houses in the U.S. or whatever. To
Mm-hmm.
me, there's mad issues with it in my opinion because like y'all was talking about the vetting process. There's a lot of situations where there are issues that come up, especially with those international adoptions and stuff like that. Cases
Mm,
in point that I think of is involving Hillary Clinton, where it's like all of these things just be linked to human trafficking and all kind of crazy shit, child trafficking, where depending on the war
mm-hmm.
torn country you're going to, it's like there's not a lot of proper infrastructure involved and making sure that these things are there was a
Yeah.
situation literally after the Haiti earthquake where this lady got caught trying to smuggle children that, according to her, this white lady, she told that these people didn't have homes, they're orphans, and they're in this adoption agency. When it's like, no, you just stole kids that had parents in the country and was attempting to bring them to the United States in a process of adoption and want to put these kids in an orphanage to be adopted and whatnot. You just literally kidnapping people that have homes out of a country, and Hillary Clinton bailed this woman out. Like, this is all factual information that is that all plays into some of the Pizzagate conspiracy stuff, but this part of it is actually like factual that Hillary Clinton bailed this woman out who was caught child
Human
trafficking.
trafficking.
To me, another issue is things I see where it's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you have these celebrities that have certain political views, and it's like they go and do the
Mm-hmm.
same type of thing, adopt these children from war-torn countries. One that comes to mind is like, I see Charlize Theron. I believe it was her. I think it was her. But she adopted two black people, and coincidentally, somehow both of these children are transgender. The both of them is like 4 or 5, and they both in dresses. Two male children. Like, if you tell me, okay, cool, one of your children
Mm-hmm.
happens to be transgender and wearing skirts at the age of 4 or 5, if you tell me one, maybe I can, okay, that maybe that could happen. But both of these children walking around in dresses and his two black children, like, this is not coincidence no more. What are you putting in this child? What philosophies are you indoctrinating it? Like, is this just Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union parading their gay kid around to get social acceptance and virtue signaling points again? That's what it has looked like to me when I see some of these interracial adoptions. Like, there's mad things that come to mind and different programs when you look up Native Americans and how they was taken from, and they had
Yeah.
certain programs in place to take Native Americans from their own tribes,
Oh.
He was gone for a while.
to put them with American families, to take out some of their cultural heritage and whatnot, to westernize them, because it's the assumption that this is better for you. You need to know how to exist in a modern society. So leave all of those hunter gatherer traditions alone, etc. Like, and come learn about bills and stress and all of these things. Forget your language, you don't need that. Traditions, history, you don't need that. Learn English. Like, Christianity, that's where it's
Mm-hmm.
at. Forget all those other stuff. These just be my problems when it comes to the international adoption. Like, if I agree with the sentiment that supposedly the world is overpopulated, cool. You think you're doing your part by adopting, all right, do that. Why does it have to be somebody from a different race that you can indoctrinate in what you think is the better way of life? Like, that part I disagree with. Like, find
Like,
another white person if you want to adopt a white. Like, if you're a white person wanting to
yeah,
adopt,
but
find a
like,
white kid in need. I ain't got no issue with that.
I I get what you're saying, but like, it really depends on who we talking about. Cause like, for example, Angelina Jolie is the opposite of that spectrum, where she puts all most of her attention to all of her kids. You understand? Like, it really comes down to the person at the end of the day and what they're trying. Like, are you trying to adopt just to impose certain things onto your children, or you adopt but you still let the children learn where they come from, what are their
Yeah.
norms and values, like where they're coming from, like it that's why the vetting process is so important. Like, are you going to let your child grow up in an environment where they can still learn about their own culture? Do you have the means to also let your the child that you're adopting? Because Here's the thing about adoption: not enough people are doing it. Adoption kids that don't have families to go to, the houses that they're in, like the adoption homes and stuff like that, is not a better solution, dog. Like it's either it's either the kids even get a fighting chance, because a lot of the kids that stay in the homes for too long, they don't, like, some of them come out good, but statistically most of them don't come out from the trap that they're in. Kids that are part of the state owned kids usually do not escape from the place that they're in, and they turn out to do like heavy drug substance and stuff like that. So it it
And there's different
it's a
solutions
very
to this problem.
there
It depends on how
is,
you look at it.
but
One solution is adoption. One solution is trying to improve infrastructure, economy, etc., of the country where these people live.
yeah,
One
but one
solution
is
is to
way
not have
easier to
bombs
do
some of
than the
these
other
countries
one.
so that they're in terrible ruin, so that you
Yeah,
then need to adopt refugee countries. Yeah,
yeah,
because one is what we
I
want to
get
put
what
our
you're
money and
saying,
attention to.
but currently that's not the case. So like one is way easier
I'm
to
not
do than
saying
the other one.
adoption shouldn't happen or I'm against adoption. I'm against oftentimes how I see adoption being used and misused in certain
Yeah,
scenarios. That
uh,
is what
that's why the vetting
I'm
process needs to be
against,
way
not
more rigorous in the
adoption at
U.S.
all. I agree.
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
because
mean, however, I do see a problem with on like the flip side, I do see a problem with vetting process being too strict, because then these kids are not going to get into homes. So I feel like it's a really fine line. Because for example, in Aruba, my mom did try and adopt a child from Kasakuna, and she didn't get through.
yeah, I think it should be super strict, or like I rather it be really really strict than it not, because then at least you know you're weeding out any potential problems that's going on. I rather it be really strict than it not being, because then you
Yeah,
have
but
the U.S. I get
you
what you're
see that
Yeah, but
saying. I get
the problem is that the state, or wherever the state or the country might not have the resources to take care of all the children who are then in the system, because people gonna continue to put children up for adoption. But if people are vetted too strictly to where they're not able, even good homes are not able to
that
adopt children, then that's going to be a problem.
that's what I was gonna
yeah,
say. That's what I was gonna say as well, because the thing is with that is what Calissa was saying in thing. It has to be a fine line, because granted, yes, Woods,
Hmm.
what you saying is true. We don't. I kind of agree with what you're saying. I rather it be very strict than have a child go through any abuse or anything like that because they're going to a wrong family. But then at the same time, that has also happened by these adoption agencies.
Yes, they do.
yeah,
And the thing is, the problem is that sometimes what has happened is the adoption agencies, wherever the kids stay in, might end up being too full, and then they just get sent to foster families. Foster families are not vetted nearly as hardly as people who are trying to adopt children. Basically, the majority of people could be a foster, like could apply to be foster families, and actually would get through with fostering a child. A lot of abuse that's actually happened in foster homes, and not the forever homes. And that has been the whole problem, because what has happened is, when they just go to foster homes, the state does then give them money to take care of this child, because technically it's not their child, so they're just a
And
foster family. And
and they're
that's
trying to
where
get
they
as
just
many
really
children
get,
as possible to get as much money as
exactly, they just
possible,
get
and
as
that's where they
many
go
as possible
downhill.
to get as,
Hmm.
to a certain extent, vetting potential forever homes too harshly might actually be detrimental to the kids. Do you understand? Like if you vetting people who actually want to adopt these children too harshly, and instead they stay in the system and have to go to foster homes, I think that going to end up being more of a problem than maybe you being a little more lax with somebody. Granted, you have to run a background check and look at the income and all that type of thing, but I think the reason why my mom didn't get through with adopting is because she's a single mom. However, like, her income and everything would have been fine. But I think then I never actually got a good answer. But I would assume it's because that she was a single parent that she didn't end up getting to adopt the child, even though like me and my brother both attended, like my brother attended private school, I attended public school, but I wasn't like very well at the time. And
Yeah, but
like
I can
she could
understand
have
that
proved,
decision still.
I could understand that too, but if you look at the majority of households, they do consist of a single family household, and there's like in something like 70% of all households are like single parent households. Is that not a statistic?
Um,
In which case,
I
if
don't know,
you
but
just if you but I'm saying if you rule in somebody out who has the means to take care of a child solely based on the fact that this person is not married or maybe not is a single parent, even though they do have the means to take care of a child, then you leave in what, maybe 30% of all people to who are capable of adopting a child, and then they just look at different factors. Some people just get turned away if they're a gay couple. Gay couples get turned away a lot quicker than straight couples, and
Wow.
then
US,
single
US.
parents
Keep in
in
mind,
the,
people.
well, I wouldn't be too sure about like Aruba and Haida, but
Yo, if that happens
Yeah,
in the US, you
single
can guarantee that shit
parents,
is prevalent in the Caribbean as well.
yeah,
yeah,
but
exactly.
but cause like we have also some Dutch viewers,
So
which makes
then,
it be very
Oh, I
sensitive.
mean like that,
yeah,
but it's still
In the
in
and
it's still
Netherlands,
then
in
it's not.
Holland.
Yeah, in the Netherlands, it's a very different case. It's
so
very
Yeah.
then
different. Yeah.
so then if you look at people being ruled out just solely based on those things, by the time the percentage of people who are actually capable of adopting is is like nothing basically. Very few people. If you rule in people out solely based on that, I feel like you should look at people background. I understand to a certain extent seeing if they're a single parent household or not, but I mean if the child would have like siblings or other family members around, and then also if the person has the means to take care of a child, I feel like that's a bit more important than it being a single parent household, in my opinion, because it would still be better
would
than
you not
the
say
child being in the system.
would you not say the
Sorry.
solution there to me is have continue having the strict regulations that there are because the concern is the well-being of the child, but then also invest more money into orphanage systems and foster care and the systems
Hmm.
where child end up somewhere in like the middle places. Invest in those things, make it so that there's a decent amount of money being put there so that they can do everything that they need to do, so that there's more people to attend to the children, have bigger facilities so more children could be there, like making sure that they don't have to worry
No,
about
wait, one
meals
second.
and stuff.
What's going on?
That's probably
What
I don't
happened?
know. I was trying to
somebody
figure it out.
moving something outside by campus from somebody window.
Oh, okay.
So either
Ooh,
Callisto or Wood.
mine.
Ah,
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't know
Callisto.
y'all together,
yeah.
but what y'all want me to do? I didn't know you could have
Just
picked up the
random
noise. I'm
questions.
sorry.
No. Let's continue. I was just
They're always
wondering.
making noise by my
Random,
building. I'm
random
sorry.
question. How long we recording for? Because last time we lost track,
Oh,
nobody paying
I don't
attention,
even know
and
when we
then the
She.
started.
show was
About an hour and 38
like
minutes.
we
Okay.
it was
All
crazy.
right, well,
See, we over time already.
we should be wrapping it up soon.
Any other final thoughts on this whole adoption
So
thing?
Uh, I mean, my thoughts has already been quite.
improve orphanages.
Yes.
My I don't know. 'Cause I was thinking about it. My only issue is with the adoption. Somebody adopting a child of a different race is that they might not necessarily the parents might not necessarily be able to explain about the child's culture background. I guess to say, like for example,
Mm-hmm.
if I am interested in the Japanese culture, I would like to say, hey, let me adopt a Japanese child. But then my issue is I would not be able to explain to them their culture and their background.
That's why I think you would still have to
Mm-hmm.
then surround, like if you adopt a Japanese
You would have
kid,
to
you have to
invest.
surround
Yeah.
him with at least like
I think I would have to like live in
people.
Japan and then
Yeah,
go and
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
live there self and then adopt the child.
Or go to like social gatherings with a bunch of Japan, like because there's like like for example, here you have like book readings and stuff like that with just Caribbean people or just people from Sweden.
Oh,
Like
so
you would
you
have
mean
to.
trying to find a Japanese community itself and
Yes,
like incorporate.
exactly,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, that could make sense.
Make sure they got Japanese friends. And if
yeah,
you can't be the one to do it, make sure they got Japanese friends.
yeah. Like
That, but I just guys saying that 'cause I guess that would be my only worry personally, because like I feel like a lot of research needs to be done into that, especially where different race is concerned. But yeah, that's just my final
because it's
thoughts.
because you also like
No,
just a closing point. Like there was this one video of this Japanese kid that was adopted by I think a German family, and at a certain point, like he was trying to find like his original mom and dad and stuff like that, and they went back to Japan. Like look it up, it's on YouTube. I don't remember the name of it, but
Mm,
very interesting video.
okay.
And like he knew about
I
his
mean,
culture, but he did
there's
not
also
know
Modern
about his
Family.
culture. You know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I want to like be fostering no kind of like identity crisis in my child, you know.
I mean, he still has his identity
That's
as a
that it was
person. Like he's still whoever he is, cause like your
it
identity is
was
formed
interesting
by.
seeing them deal with that issue on Modern Family with Lily.
Yeah, I understand. I understand what you're saying, but then
But okay,
at the same time too, I kind of more support it because I kind of mean like people learning more about like different cultures and trying to think if they do their research properly and if they are in it for good
yeah,
intentions.
that's why vetting is important. I think that's
Yeah,
just the.
goes back to the whole topic, so it don't even make sense to continue like discussing that. So
So
I think we can
King,
start to wrap it up.
wanna do your due diligence and then wrap this up?
Make sure to check out the Mistuh King LP on all streaming services. I don't know if anybody else got plugs that we need to get to before we get out of here, but make sure to listen to Mistuh King LP. Anybody else?
Um,
Um,
I would like to say hopefully if all goes well next week, I should be making an announcement on a different venture I have been in part of and working on. So if all goes well next week, I gonna have stuff to plug.
okay.
So yeah.
For
Woods?
me, stay tuned. There's a lot of live streaming coming up, especially with live mixing and stuff like that. This week was the first week that I went live, music wise at least. Stay tuned for more coming up soon. Yeah, that's about it.
All right.
Alrighty then. With all of that being said, people, we'll see you all the next time we link up, unless Rashid and Kalissa have plugs and I just was being rude and skipped over them.
No, you good. You good.
Disrespectful. But no, I don't have no plugs.
Okay then.
So yeah, people, we'll see y'all the next time we link up. Woods?
Peace.
Eh.